Yo, what's up guys? This is Theo here coming to you live. In this video, I'm going to sort of follow this Scotch.io, really great site on node authentication setup, and we're just going to use the local. This is a little bit old, the time when this was written, but it has been updated to use Express 4. So shout out to Scotch.io for the great tutorial and to Chris Sevilla, whatever it is. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna build most of this from scratch, and we will just reference this when we need it. So cool. Let me go ahead and so I was building it out myself, but I'm gonna go into my desktop. Or sorry, let me there. Let me go out, change directory on my desktop, and let's go ahead and make a directory called node local off. And then let's go in here and cd into node local off. And I want to touch a package.json. I want to touch a server.js. I'm going to just do it all on like a root file. Touch passport.js, touch model.js, touch routes.js, and we're going to make a directory here called views, cd into views, and we're going to touch a index.ejs, touch a signin, or yeah, signin.ejs, we're going to touch a login.ejs, we're going to touch a profile.ejs for embedded JavaScript, change directory out of there, and inside of my package.json, we're going to vim, and so inside of here, I'm just going to open up empty object, and I'm going to do npm install express mongoose for our data mapper, bcrypt NodeJS to hash the password and to give it a salt. Then we want express session to persist our sessions. We also want Morgan for logging. We want body parser to get our data back from the session and in the form of JSON. Then we want connect flash for flash errors. And then we also want, let me see, we want passport for our authentication. And then we want passport local. And then I'll install whatever else we need after that. For now, I think that's probably good. So let's see how that looks. I'm going to go in here to Sublime, and I am going to open that up. So let me go into my desktop, and we're going to do node local auth and see if I got everything in here. Let me just do an npm init real quick and sort of set it up. Let's just make sure we got this good to go. Model.js, or crap. All right. I think let me see. Package.json. Okay, here we go. Let's try it again. Server, get repository, Theo, IT, yes, clear. So we sort of have it set up. Awesome. And let's go ahead and set up our server like we always do. So to do this, do var express, require express, var app express, var body parser, require body parser, var Morgan, require Morgan, var passport, require passport, var session, require express session. And then we also want, let me make sure I got everything. Okay, var flash equals require connect flash. And then let me see, mongoose. And I think that's about it. Say var mongoose. Let's require mongoose. Let's go ahead and connect to our database. So inside of here, I'm going to create one more file called db.js, and this is just going to expose to the app an object with the URL of our query string, which is going to be MongoDB localhost, and it's going to be mean stack local auth. And once we have that set up, I'm going to go ahead and bring that in. So var db is going to be equal to require db.js dot URL, and then let's go ahead and connect to it. Mongoose.connect db function error. I'm going to say if there's an error, console.log error else console.log successfully connected to plus db. Let's use a few more things. app.use flash, app.use session, and we'll give this a secret. We'll say mean local auth, and then we'll do app.use, and then this is going to be passport.initialize, and then we also want app.use passport.session, so it can use our session variable or our session storage in this case. We also want to use app.use Morgan, or app.use Morgan, and then we're going to pass it the dev variable for development. And then finally, we want to store a variable called port. Probably should have done that up at the top, which will be our constant. So we'll just set this to process environment.port or 3000, and we'll do app.listen port, optional function at the end, and we'll just say console.log listening on port plus port. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything else. We also want to use app.use body parser.json, and then we want to do app.use body parser.url encoded. And we're just going to set extended to false. We also want to grab one more thing, var cookie parser, so we can use cookies here. And we're just going to require the cookie parser. So there's a lot of node modules to get this up and running. We don't need all of them, but I'm going to do npm install cookie parser dash save, and I think that's probably the last one. Let me just make sure. Alright, looks like that's it. Morgan session flash, and we also want to require our routes, so we're going to do I guess we can do it right here. We can do require routes.js, and then we'll pass in our app. I think we're also gonna, let me put this at the bottom probably. I think we're also going to we're gonna pass in passport. Let me think. Yeah, we're also gonna pass in passport, and then we're also gonna require passport.js. And then from there, we're just going to pass in our I think app and the passport as well. We'll see though along the way. So cool. Let's go ahead and start up our server. But let me go ahead and index and just say welcome to index. But first, we need to set up a route. So let me do nodemon server.js and see the error that we're getting so far. Require is not a function. Require.routes.js. Let me see. Alright, so what we need here is module.exports. We need to export this to our global object. Let's take an app and passport, and we'll just say app.get right now for the root function request and a response. And since we're using, we need one more thing actually, guys. We want to use npm install EJS -- save, and we got to set our view engine to EJS. So we go back in here, and what we need to do is do app.set view engine, and we're going to use EJS. So that's good. And let me try this one more time. Nodemon server.js, and what does it say? Require. It's not a function. Let's go ahead and try this again. Module.exports function app passport app.get. Alright, so let's see how we can do this. We can just do response.render index.ejs. We can give this an optional title of node authentication. And let me try this again. What is it saying? Is not a function. Let me look back at this real quick. Make sure we got this right. Let me look. Require app routes.js app.use flash session app.use cookie parser. Let me see if I can plug this in real quick. And let me go in here for our cookie parser. Have we used that yet? Not yet. Use cookie parser. Is that a function or make sure? Require is not a function. Make sure I got everything right. Morgan div view engine EJS. Listen require app routes.js. Maybe I have to put it in a folder. Let me see though. Can't find module routes.js. Let me see. What's it telling me now? It's not a function. Routes.js. Function. Let me go ahead and put it in a folder just in case. Routes. And then let me move the routes into. Let me go ahead and do that in here. And we'll do move routes to routes.js. Move routes to routes. Move routes to routes. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to open it up. Alright, cd. Shit. Okay, hold on. Go in here again and make a folder called routes. I have to open this up real quick. Yeah, let me just open this. Open node local auth. So we can open this up. Alright, and then we will move routes.js into routes. Let me try this again. We'll do cd node-mon server.js and see the error that we're getting now. Cannot find module. Okay, so let's try this again. Routes.js, and what is it telling me? Cannot find module.routes. What is this saying? Require.routes. Let me see why that's not liking that. Routes.js. Let me just rename this real quick to see. Router. Require is not a function. Let me go ahead and look that up. Require is not a function. Excellent is a function. Let me see. Routes.js exports is a function. It's kind of strange. me see. Try this. Actually, let me try this at the very end. Require is not a function. Yeah, I'm kind of confused why that's not working. App.use, app.listen, port. Alright, there we go. We'll fix the other one then. I think one of them doesn't exist, that's why. Yeah. Alright, so let's go back here. So welcome to index. We're hitting that main route. Let's go ahead and get started then with our passport. So again, I'm going to do this, make this very, very dry, but on here we're just going to have a form, or we're just going to have two hrefs. Change this to HTML. And this is going to point to sign up, and this is going to point to login. Login. Go ahead and run that again. Sign up and log in. Let me just center these a little bit so it's a little bit more pleasing. Again, we're not going for UI or just looks here. It's just for so sign up cannot get. So we got to build these methods out in our router. So let's go ahead and build those. Do app.get/signup function request and a response. And again, we can just do response.render, and we'll do signup.ejs. Let me make sure I created that view. Sign in. Okay. And we'll just pass this a title object with sign up. And let me go back to index, and we can just do h3 here. We can sort of embed that right there. So now we have crap. Did I not close that off or something? Title routes. Yeah, that should work. Title routes. Sign in index. Why is that not working for me? Title. Oh crap! Did that wrong. Title. There you go. Node authentication. And let's see. The other thing that we can do here is let's go ahead and open up our database. I think the connection's still open because I didn't close it, but let's just go ahead and make sure. So let's run mongod, which is the executable, and let's run sudo mongo awesome show dbs. So ours is not there yet, but it will be. Cool. And awesome. So our sign up should now work. Yeah, sign up works. Let's go there and just do the same sort of thing. Log in, and this is just gonna have a title as well. Sign up, log in. Alright, cool. And then in here we're just gonna build out a very simple form. And this is just gonna have a method of post and an action of slash sign up. And it's just gonna have input type of text, name of email, and then we'll create one more. This is going to be our password. You can give it input type of email, whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. This is going to have an input type of password and a name of password, and then finally it's going to have an input type of submit with a value of sign up. So let's just see how that works. There we go, pretty bland. We'll just give this email, password. We'll just give it some line breaks right there. So that should do it. Pretty basic. Cannot post to sign up. So now let's create our post route. We're sort of following it, test driven, or not test driven. I guess like error driven development here. Um, so let's go ahead and create that route. So we want to create a post to sign up. So when we do this, this is actually going to take in Passport now. So let's go ahead and in here, let's pass in Passport as well. Make sure we're still getting any errors, not any errors yet. So what we're going to do in our routes at this point is we're going to call passport.authenticate, and this is going to authenticate a Passport method we write called local signup. And then at the very end of that, it's going to just take an object, and then finally passport.authenticate local signup. Let me make sure we're not missing any. What's it saying? Router.post regards callback function. But got an object. Let me see. Let me just reference this real quick. Make sure I did that right. Let's see. Post passport.authenticate. Post passport.authenticate. Alright. So this is actually not going to be. It's not going to be closed there. It's going to be closed here. And probably still getting some. No, not getting any errors now. That's good. So what's going to happen in here, this is actually going to accept a configuration object by that Passport allows us to sort of manipulate, and it's going to take in 3 keys. So we're going to give it success redirect. We just want it to go to /profile. We're going to create that route. We want failure redirect, and this is just going to go back to /signup. And finally, we're going to have what is it called? Let me look real quick. It's called failure flash. This will allow us to explain the flash errors, and we're just going to give this a boolean of true. That's all we should need for there. So let's actually go ahead and create Passport. So we're going to require config /passport.js, and again we're going to pass in app and passport. So let's go ahead and create that. We should be getting an error because we don't have that module or that folder created. So let's go ahead and create config. And inside of here, I'm just going to create passport.js. I'm going to get rid of the one right here. And let's go ahead and do module.exports is a function which takes in passport and the app. But I guess you can call it whatever you want. Let me look at how they did it. So this takes in, it just takes in passport. Alright, so let's just do that. Let's use passport, and then let me go back to our server and just change this out to use just passport.js. Let's make sure we're not getting any errors, no errors yet. Alright, so let's go ahead and write our routes with passport. And this is a pretty involved process. We're just going to do sign up in this one. So real quick, let me go to sign in, make sure we got all that stuff. Awesome. So it's going to go to /signup, and then from there it's going to go to sign up, and it's going to use the local sign up. So what we need to do is create a new local strategy. So all of this is done internally by Passport, but it's still like a hefty amount of code. So we can go in here and do. We want to get our model. We're just going to require model.js, which we need to create right now. And then we want to require local strategy, which is going to be requiring the passport local dot strategy. And from there, let's create our model. Make sure we're not getting any errors. What it's saying, we need model. Okay, so let me go ahead and create this. We'll do mongoose require mongoose, and from there we also want what do we want to do? We want to create our model, so we're going to do var schema equals a mongoose schema, and then we want to create var user schema is a new schema, and then on here we want to create a local type on our user model, and this is going to have an email, which is going to be a type of string, and required is going to be set to true. And then finally, we want to have a password. It's going to be type of string, and required is going to be set to true. We also want to create, I'm going to grab these from here because they're pretty involved. These are the user methods on that are going to be used for hashing. I guess you can memorize these. I don't know if I really want to. This is generating the hash, so it's taking in a password, and it's using the bcrypt module to hash the salt and the password together. I have to look up what that third parameter is. I'm not really sure. And this is just validating the password, which takes in a password and is comparing the local password in the database with the password that the user enters. So cool. And finally, let's actually export our schema and make it into an actual model. So let's do mongoose or module.exports is equal to mongoose.model, and again, like we've seen, this takes in the name and user schema. So from there, we should not still be getting an error. Cannot find module. All right, I guess I got to put this in a folder too. So we'll say models, and we will call this model.js. Let me just grab this from here. Remove that. We put it in here. And crap. Let me rename that to JS. Awesome. And let me just change this to JavaScript real quick. JavaScript. Awesome. And is it still complaining? Cannot find model. Yeah. So let me go back to Passport. And so this time we want from the models. And there we go. Cool. So the first thing we need to write in here are two methods. This is going to serialize the user. Basically what this does, still got to look into it a lot myself, but when you serialize the user, behind the scenes, it's just checking to make sure that session is still valid for the user. And then when you deserialize it, that's going to sort of, I guess, unencrypt it and sort of confirm that you want that session to persist. So serializing it is finding that user, and deserializing it is confirming it. But again, I'm not an expert at it. Passport.serialize user, and this is an internal method, and this gives us back a callback, which is just a function which gives us back a user, and the done property, which is done. You're going to see a lot. Done is an internal method on the Passport module, which basically, from what it seems like, again, I got to read more up on it, is just sort of confirming that you indeed do have a user or you have an error. So in this case, all we want to do is call done with error and the user ID. Is it error? Let me see. Let me make sure. So let me go back. Let me go back to here. Done with a null and a user ID. Okay, so done. So we're not actually handling anything, but we're giving back the user ID. So that's why that's that. And our next method up is deserialize. And same sort of setup. We're going to do passport.deserialize user, and this will take in, make sure I wrote it right. This takes in a function which takes in an ID and a done, and this ID is referencing this ID right here. And this, we're going to use the model dot find by ID, where again the ID is, let me make sure I got it right. Yeah, find by ID function, error, and a user, and all we're going to do here is return done with the error and the ID. I'm pretty sure. Let me make sure. Done with the error and the user again. Error and the user. So it's either going to give us an error or a user based on that ID. Cool. So let's actually get started with creating our local strategy. So the way we can do this is we're going to do passport dot use, okay, that's the way we started off, and we're going to call it local signup, and the next parameter is going to be a new local strategy, so this is just an object, and what this will do is it will start initializing our local strategy, and so the first part is going to be our configuration, and the second is going to be a callback function, which takes in a request, an email, because we're using an email, a password, and like we've always seen, the done function, which is the internals of the Passport. So let's go ahead and create this, and this takes in a few parameters. So it will let us define our username field, which is by default username, but for us it's email. Then we want the password field, which is going to be password, and then we also want this other field called pass request to callback, which I'm pretty sure is set by default to true, but let's just ensure that is the case. And so from here we have this function that we're getting back, and this is going to give us, the request, the email, the password, and the done. And let me make sure I got that right. Yeah, I think I got that right, but I want to clean this up a little bit more. So let me see. That looks good. Let me just make sure. Okay, I'm going to do it like this. Let's take in a function which takes in a request, an email, a password, and a done. And then, all right, cool. That looks good. So what we can do here, because we want this asynchronous, and because we're not sure the next time that this whole function is going to fire, we're going to use a built-in function called process.nextTick, which all that it's listening for is like new behavior in the application. And this itself gives us back a callback function. So the next time the application has changed, we want it to run, because the whole nature of this is asynchronous, and we don't know exactly when it's going to fire. So with that, what we can do is we can run model dot find one, and we want to find the local email, because that's the field we gave it, and we want this email to be equal to, make sure I got that right, yeah, we want the local email, put it as a string, to be equal to this email that we're getting back from the callback. Alright, and then, like always, this will take in a function which gives us an error and a user, and we'll just say, okay, if there's an error, then return done with the error. That's it. Then if there's a user, and then in that case, we want to return done with null, false, we're not giving anything back, and a new request dot flash, make sure I got this right, request.flash, and again, I'm not going to really show them in this video, but it will just say sign up message, that's the key, and the value will be user already exists. And then, if it doesn't meet any of these conditions else, then what we want to do is create a new user. Is a new model, and then from there we can do new user dot email, or new user dot local dot email, remember, because we're accessing the local property, is going to be equal to the email, and then we want new user dot local dot password, and here's where we're going to hash our password. So we're going to be new user dot generate hash in our model, that method we created, and we're going to pass in the password that we get back from the callback, and finally, as is the style of Node, we're going to call .save, and that's going to give us back a callback with an error. And we're just going to say if there's an error, then throw the error. Else, what we want to do is just return done with the new user. So that was a lot of stuff. I probably have an error now. That was pretty impressive, I guess. It's a lot of stuff going on there, and I don't expect you to memorize it all. It is quite a handful, and I'd really like to find out myself more about the internals of this done method. It's probably just more authentication under the hood. But so with that, we can write one more method. We're going to go into our routes, and we're going to create this method down here at the bottom called function is logged in, and this is going to use the built-in it's called built-in is authenticated method from the Passport node module. And so this is going to take in a request, a response, and a next. And the next will be used to continue along the path of the middleware in our application. So we're going to say if request.isAuthenticated, this is going to return a Boolean. Then we want to return next. Otherwise, we're going to do response.redirect, and we just want to redirect to just the very root of our application. And so in here, we're going to create a profile. We're going to do app.get/profile function request. So before our function, which takes in the request and the response, we want to call this piece of middleware is logged in and let it intercept the routing. And then what we can do here is we can do response.render, and we can do profile.ejs, and we can give it what we can give it here is a user, and at this time our user is in session, so we can say request.user, and from there that should be pretty good. So let's go ahead and try it, but let's say welcome to the profile, and let's just spit out user.local.email. And then let's create one more route here. We're going to create a logout, app.get/logout, and then function request response, and we're just going to call request.logout, and then response.redirect to the root of our application. So with that, our application should work. Let's go ahead and try it out. Login, sign up. Let's try and enter a user, Theo, and I'll type in my information. Let's see if we're getting any errors here. Let me bring this off to the side, and let's try this out. So what is it saying? bcrypt is not defined. Alright, so let me get bcrypt in here. So let's go ahead and grab that var bcrypt equals require bcrypt NodeJS. Let's go ahead and try that one more time. And let's run this. See if we're getting any errors. Let's sign up. Alright, looks like we indeed actually did get through. Yep, we got our user, everything. Let's make this a little bit more friendly. Why is it giving me that? What is it? Sign up. Hold on. Sign up. Title. H3. Why is it giving me? Let's see. Get function. Sign up. Hold on. Let me see. Failure redirect to sign up. Let me try and go to profile though. Let me see. Sign up. Or try it again. Tester. Let's try and run this again. Profile.js, user request.user, passport.authenticate, local sign up. Return done user. Let me make sure I got that last part. Next tag function, return done. Oh. Null and a new user. I think that's why. Let me go ahead and show DBs, use passport, or use mean stack, local auth, and then I'm going to do db.users.remove. I'm just going to truncate our database real quick. Awesome. And let's go back to sign up, and let's try this one more time. I think that was why. Sign up. There we go. We are on our profile page. We can just go back as well, and we should be able to go back to our profile. Awesome. But if I call log out, alright, we're logged out at this point, so we should not be able to go back. Alright, cool. And let's try it with one more user, so we can just do tester@yahoo.com and sign in. Welcome to the profile, tester@yahoo.com, and let's just log out, and we can see that they are in our database. So let's go and check that out real quick. and we have our 2 users, and the passwords are hashed. Pretty awesome, guys. So I don't know if that was a quick tutorial, that was kind of long, but hope you guys enjoyed it. Next up, we will move on to login with Passport. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, please subscribe, and support the channel. It means a lot. So thanks for watching, and have a great day.